and welcome to Recap. I'm Caroline Derby with
Roby Brock.
Roby
I
Brock.
feel shorter than you. I'm looking at our height right there, and I'm taller than you, actually.
I think, are you?
Yeah, you must have a tall torso.
I have a long torso.
That must be what it is.
Yep. Sorry.
It's all right. I must try to sit up a little.
Yeah, just sit up a little straight. Oh, there you go.
Now I'm taller than you. This is
Yeah,
very
I'll just
uncomfortable.
slouch
I can't hover this long throughout the whole thing. I had somebody found our show this week
Oh,
and
boy.
said, "How have I not known about this?" And they watched like 3 or 4 episodes, and they're like, "This is quality entertainment."
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm glad they liked it.
also wondered why my name's not on here.
I mean, I get it.
I think we could probably just tape a piece of paper on there that says "and Roby Brock."
And Roby Brock. Yeah, we'll just like slide it. And then when
Just
you
say
say, yeah.
below it there.
And if you annoy me, I'll just take it off.
You could do that for sure.
I'm just kidding. Roby and I get along great. How you doing? Everything going okay? Election? It's in a few days
I'm
now?
Good. My allergies are raging. I have literally. I thought I had a bloody nose last night, and it was just I had to get up and take like 3 antihistamine all night long. It's just popping them.
Oh, goodness.
I'm popping pills, Caroline. I mean,
It's that time of election season.
no, I just have terrible allergy. When the seasons change, spring and fall, I just get waylaid on it. So I feel like my eyes are bloodshot. They've been burning for days, you know. But I mean, I feel good. I'm just saying it's one of those things that you're just like, oh,
You expect it almost every year with the season change, I guess.
But I can always tell you when spring's coming
Because you
I'm like,
feel it.
I feel it. They're like, when do you think when it's going to get warmer? I'm like, about 2 days ago. Yeah, it's coming. So because everything starts blooming, you know, and it's all that stuff that starts populating on the trees is what gets me. But no, I'm good. I mean, there's lots of races all over the state. And
I know.
It's heating up. There's been all kinds of mudslinging going on, you know.
There has been some of that.
Candidates candidating, and
Some
it's
commercials
been good.
and different things out there.
There's plenty.
So
we'll have a good election night. It'll be good.
I think so too. We'll be in studio with KARK and Fox 16 on election night. Roby, of course, is way more knowledgeable than I am, so he will be giving some input on some things.
You're getting to the point where you don't get to say that anymore.
Oh,
you know?
wow. Thanks, Roby.
You know, like when, like I've watched politicians do this, like in their first year in office, they'll always blame their predecessor on, you know, well, I'm still cleaning up the things from my predecessor, you know. And then like in like year 2 or 3, it's like, wait a second, we made these messes. These are our problems here. We can't blame it on other people. You're getting to the point now where you're knowledgeable enough that you can't say, I'm more knowledgeable. We're transferring everything.
We're thinking. Yeah. Think tank.
You're good.
All right. Thanks, Roby.
Yeah.
Well,
so like we'll be in studio like on election night. You and I will be carrying on conversation.
Yes, we will.
Okay,
yeah, we'll be chatting about some of the races, giving some context, perhaps.
I've not been given all the details on
this
yet.
I haven't either. So I'll get back to everybody on that.
I'm just going off of past history. It's usually like, just be prepared to talk, you know, and I'll do it. So.
There we go. Well, I do want to talk a little bit about voter turnout in Arkansas. I think part of campaigning is getting someone to say, okay, I will vote for you. But then the other half of it is actually motivating them, I feel like, to get to the polls and actually do it. And those are two different things. And in Arkansas, we have one of the lowest voter turnouts in the nation. Unfortunately, I believe it's been that way for a while now. But people are just not going to the polls to actually vote. So this is also a primary. Some people don't vote in the primary. You normally see a bigger turnout in November. Roby, what do you think some of the factors are behind lower voter turnout in Arkansas?
Some of it is just lack of voter education, you know, like you're just not steeped in what the candidates are, you haven't heard enough, or you don't think it's going to change your life, or you don't understand how that kind of connection happens. I think some of it, too, is we keep moving our party primaries. I mean, it's like every other legislative cycle, we seem to be shifting. We're going to get in where the preferential presidential primary is. So we're moving up to be right after New Hampshire or South Carolina. And then, you know, and then they move it back another year. You know, it's just a 1 year or one cycle kind of thing. And I think some of that makes it confusing for people. This is a fun fact. You would not have been born yet when this happened, but we used to have our party primaries at the end of the summer, like around Labor Day.
Really?
Like when Dale Bumpers got elected governor, they campaigned all summer for the primary, and then the election, I'm trying to think, have been in like September, and then the November is when the general election was. So the campaign cycle was literally summertime to around Labor Day, and then first week in November, sort of thing. And
so that was a shortened campaign
it's a really
time.
shortened campaign time. And they changed that to push the primaries back into earlier in the year, like around, March, April. And I think it's been May before too. But they moved all that back because the politicians complained about campaigning in the summertime is too hot. I mean, 100 degrees.
To
and
go, through the
they're out there on
neighborhoods,
the door to door. And back then they used to do a lot of courthouse square campaign events. Like, there would be there were traditional festivals and things that people would go to and campaign, and those things still exist. There's just not a lot of them. But the Pink Tomato Festival, that's why you couldn't miss the Pink Tomato Festival, because back in the day, that was a summertime thing that brought thousands of people together. And if you're campaigning for statewide office or Congress or something, you'd want to be there glad-handing. So Mountain Nebo chicken fry and, the Slovak oyster supper and all those kind of things.
Tried and true events.
But you don't see that kind of participation now because there's such a gap between it. And now, media is so fractured and changed.
Different avenues to maybe get your
I've gone back and looked at, I did a study on that 1970 governor's race one time. And it was I went back and read old newspapers, the old Democrats and old gazettes from that campaign, and just listening to them. I mean, reading the stories, and that was an epic race anyway, because you had Faubus trying to make a comeback versus Bumpers, and then the winner was going to take on Rockefeller, who'd been there for two-year terms. So it's that was a really transformational race in Arkansas history. But to read about it, there's complaints about, there were only 2,000 people showed up at the Logan County Courthouse for the election night. I'm like, you couldn't get 20 people to show up today at the Logan County Courthouse for a political event. I was like, 2,000. They were complaining about just 2,000 people were there. I mean,
wow.
So, but to read all those stories and see how it kind of used to be back then.
See how it changed.
So it's changed a lot. So, but I think that's why you see lower voter turnout too, is because you can get that information now from Facebook and television and direct mail and all, and that was a lot harder to do back in the day. So,
and I feel like part of voting is being civically involved, civic engagement, and that's not just voting. So I feel like you mentioned some good points, maybe whether it's being informed or whether it's motivation to get there, but there are some factors that go into civic engagement. I feel like we have low civic engagement perhaps too, that's different than just voting too.
The Rockefeller Institute up at on Petit Jean Mountain has actually been doing for a couple of years kind of a civic engagement tour, and they're about to ramp up with another new level of that. You ought to look into that. I've already talked to them about coming on the show at some point in time. I don't think they're ready to pull the trigger just yet, but that's a concern for them. They've done a lot of research on it and really see where some of the breakdown is. And it particularly happens in rural Arkansas. It's hard to connect with some of those folks about the importance of civic engagement sometimes. It's maybe a little bit easier in a city with a bigger population like a Little Rock or a Fort Smith or a Jonesboro, Northwest Arkansas, because it's just easier to hit a wider swath of people. But you're hitting the nail on the head. I mean, Arkansas has a very low civic engagement participation rate, and so the Rockefeller Institute, getting ahead of the curve on this, but wants to find ways to solve that problem. Okay. And so I think that'd be an interesting story for us to do in the future.
Maybe they'll join us here on Recap.
I assure you they would. So
that'd be great. But kind of to go off of that a little bit, Saline County and I also believe Pulaski County, they're actually outpacing previous years' voter turnout rates in their counties right now. I'm not sure on the numbers for Pulaski County, but Saline County is outpacing by, a percentage, which feels very small. But I think in the grand scheme of how many people actually come out to vote in the first place, the percentage is pretty big.
Well, I think the reason for that is local races. So in Pulaski County, there's a pretty hot prosecutor's race going on. In Saline County, I know there's a big sheriff's race going on down there. But I will say this: I used to do political consulting decades ago, and one of the things that I always did for candidates, there's two things. One, just an analysis. If it was a statewide race, there were literally about 12 or 14 counties, and I'm sure this has not changed much, that controlled 65% of the vote. So almost 2/3 of the vote in Arkansas came out of about 12 to 14 counties. So that's where you wanted to spend your time more than anything else. You were going to get your most bang for your buck there. So when these candidates would say, I'm going to reach all 75 counties, you go do that, but make sure you spend most of your time in these 12 to 14. So, because that's where the votes are. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is when filing period would close, I would always go find where the hot local races are. County judge, county sheriff, county clerk, state reps, anywhere that there's those kind of hot local races with multiple candidates, that's where voter turnout's going to be higher. So, you might look at those 12 to 14 big counties, but there might be another half dozen to 10 counties that had hot local races where you knew voter turnout was going to be higher because of people's interest in picking their county judge or their county sheriff or whatever. And so I think that's why you see Saline County and Pulaski County with which those are big counties. They would have been in that top 12. But still, you could go look. I own some small newspapers in Prairie County. There's a county judge and a county sheriff's race and a state senate race over there that is going to drive a lot of turnout. Yeah. It's a very small turnout county. There's only 9,000 voters in the county, but it'll have a high participation rate for that 9,000 because of those races. Same thing in Lone Oak County. There's a circuit judge race over there. There's a sheriff's race over there. There's a county judge race over there. So those will be big turnouts as well. And over in Scott County, where we own a newspaper, there's county judge, county sheriff, state rep race over there. That'll be they'll have higher percentages of turnout, I think, because of that.
Do you think that impacts you mentioned that it does, but to what extent does it impact your statewide races if you get that local impact?
It does a lot, yeah. Because all those go down to no, it can't. All that stuff goes down to the bottom line, because a statewide race, you're just looking for your totals, I remember I talked to a candidate one time, I think he was running for the Supreme Court, and no, I was talking to a candidate that was running in it was a general election race. It was the Democrat, and he didn't want to spend any time in Benton County because it was so traditionally Republican, and it was going to be, you're going to lose 60-40 up there. But if you moved 1 percentage point, if you lost 59 to 41, it was like 8,000 votes. You put another 8,000 votes on your statewide total, that's bigger. That's as big as Prairie County. So when you start looking at the numbers and the math and everything, I'm like, it would behoove you to spend some time in Benton County and try to move your percentages by 1 percentage point. Because if you could do that, that's the equivalent of what you might get in 3 smaller counties around the state. So where's the best use of your time, sort of thing? You got to think strategically about some of that stuff. So, it makes a difference. Those local races can make a difference. So
we are keeping our eye on some of those local races. Roby mentioned them: Saline County Sheriff, Lone Oak County Sheriff, Pulaski County Prosecutor. Some big races there. We also have some special elections going on, and we've talked about this. I did an explainer on this, I guess, 2 weeks ago when voting started. But for District 70 and District 26, you may have to ask for 2 ballots, or they may give it to you. I'm not really sure. I don't vote in those areas. But you're voting in a primary, but you're also voting in a special general.
It's confusing.
Is that the first time this has ever happened?
No. I've seen it happen before in some other places. It can be confusing. It does not happen often, but it does happen sometimes
you're voting for someone to represent you until the start of the next term, and then you're voting again in November. Yeah. Between the same people, essentially. It's
incredibly confusing. It really can be.
Next term as well.
Yeah. It's very confusing. So for people in those races, just pay extra special attention. So make sure you're getting what you need. So
I haven't checked the numbers on those special election races, but I would have to imagine that I would think the turnout would be higher for those as well. But I don't know. I'm just speculating at this point.
Speculator
me. But we'll see how it all plays out. Anything else you're keeping an eye on?
Well, I think the big races are, I'm curious to see how the incumbents do against some of their primaries. I don't sense any of them have, particular danger, but if you do see some vote totals, just say, Tom Cotton's got 2 primary opponents. Mm-hmm. He's spending a lot of money. You see him on television. Yeah. There's a lot of print ads. There's a lot of, I'm sure he's doing some radio. I'm sure they're doing a lot of social media. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they're doing some direct mail too. But I think he's not taking any chances. And part of the reason he would be doing that against his 2 primary opponents is he wants to signal strength. If he were to win 60-40, that's a landslide victory. But 60-40 for an incumbent who should be really dominant, that doesn't bode well for your national image, and it does indicate you'd have some trouble in your state as well. So I'll be looking at numbers like that to see how some of the incumbents do. How does French Hill do? How does Tom Cotton do? Do they win by 70, 80%? That would indicate to me they don't have any problem with their political base, But if they, again, fall shorter of that, you'll remember 2 years ago, Steve Womack had a primary challenger. Yeah. And Steve Womack won with 55% of the vote to 45% of the vote, which again, in political terms, is a landslide. But a 10-point win in a primary for a Republican incumbent, the conversation was he's got political problems. He needs to shore up his base. So this time around, you've seen him get an endorsement from President Trump. He's run a different campaign this time around than he did last time. So, And again, I think that's why you see Tom Cotton hitting it as hard as he does. French Hill, same way. So I'll be watching those incumbent races. And then I'm curious to see who the Democrats pick for their nominees, particularly for governor and for U.S. Senate, because those will drive turnout down ballot as well. So Hallie Schaffner versus Ethan Dunbar will be a curious race. Fred Love versus Supa Cypresseth Mays, or Sufa Cypresseth Mays, however you want to pronounce it, wherever you're. That was pretty good. I said them both the right way, didn't I? Yeah. So I'll be curious to see who wins those as well.
And we recently found out the Libertarians had their convention, and so we know who they've nominated for what positions right now. Talk a little bit about, and we can both talk about it, but the Libertarians have a convention that they do to put up people to run for different positions.
Yeah.
But they also have to go through a process of getting signatures to then be allowed to even be on the ballot, right?
Right.
Okay.
So the law in Arkansas is to be recognized as a political party, you have to earn 3% of the vote in the previous either governor or presidential race, whichever one it falls on. So Libertarians did not receive 3% in the last presidential election in 2024. Mm-hmm. So they have to collect signatures to be recognized as a political party. And I can't remember specifically, maybe 10,000 or maybe some percentage of the turnout from the previous election. But I'm sure someone will correct me on that. But nonetheless, they did that and they qualified, and they've done that for about 8 cycles in a row because they've never been able to get that 3% range. They've come really close. I think one time they had a 2.76 or 2.96% of the vote. They almost got there a couple times. And it just keeps them from having to collect the signatures next cycle. They can literally, people can file like you do for Democrat or Republican, and you're on the ballot, sort of thing as a Libertarian. And that just kind of comes with growing to try to be a recognized political party. So if they get 3% in the governor's race in the general election, they will qualify as a political party in 2028. And that's what I think. I'm sure they'd love to win the governor's race, but I think at this point in time it would be a victory to get 3%, more than 3%, and qualify as a political party. It would open up some doors for them for a lot of other races around the state in the future.
And in that governor's race, the Democratic primary will decide who that challenger to Governor Sanders will be, but also the Libertarian candidate is Colt Shelby. Mm-hmm. And just some background on him for a second. He is one of the people who sued over the District 26 election timeline to fill the seat left vacant by State Senator Gary Stubblefield. So the governor had set that election dates that he believed, and multiple other people around the state didn't give them maybe representation in the fiscal session. So sued and won, getting the special election for District 26, as we just mentioned, to line up with what the primaries right now, and then they'll have representation for the rest of this term, but also through the fiscal session. So he is one of the driving forces behind that, and now he's running for governor and will face Governor Sanders and the Democratic nominee in November.
Yeah, no, is he an ardent opponent of the Franklin County Prison?
Yes.
Also? Yeah, so
Strong opponent of the prison.
I think that's where you'll see his calling card, and so again, I'm not going to describe him as a folk hero or a cult hero, but I mean, he's probably got a little bit better platform to run in a small political party that wants to get some representation versus somebody who has no name ID whatsoever. So he'll have a calling card that he'll talk about, I'm sure, quite frequently, the Franklin County Prison and his opposition to it. And he'll garner a lot of press locally and statewide because of the ties that you just described to the lawsuit and to the prison situation. So I think he's probably makes sense as a pretty good candidate for Libertarians in their effort to get to that 3% or higher range. So, yeah. And look, our politics are shifting and changing anyway. There's fewer people identifying with parties.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I think it could be I think we may start to see a cycle where you just see, other party candidates might get bigger. We've seen some big stuff in the past. The Green Party, for instance, used to be another group that would go seek petition signatures to qualify, and they'd field candidates. And I remember in 2010, the Democrats had Dustin McDaniel was their incumbent attorney general, and the Republicans did not field anybody in 2010 for attorney general. How's that sound for crazy to you? Yeah. But they didn't. They were still not. The wave hadn't hit. 2010 was the wave year, but they didn't field a candidate in 2010. There was a Green Party nominee for attorney general, and that Green Party nominee got 35% of the vote. I know, it was like, because all the Republicans voted for that person to just send a signal, I'm not voting for the Democrat. And then I'm sure there were some Green Party voters too, but I remember the shockwaves that sent, because it was this recognition of, whoa. So third parties will, I think, start gaining a little bit more traction. It's just how big and how long does it take before they might be competitive with the two major parties I think is a long shot ways. But I've seen crazier things happen overnight in Arkansas politics, so it's good.
There we go. State of the Union was this past week.
Was it? What is the State of the Union, Caroline? What do you think? Give me a one-word description for what the State of the Union is right now.
The president addresses the nation.
No, like an adjective to describe the State of the Union right now.
Oh gosh. We should probably all refrain from. I just think.
I'll throw my word is fatigued. I mean, I just think there's so much happening every day in every 18 news cycles in a day. I mean, what would you focus on today? I mean, in the last 24 hours, we might go to war with Iran. We might do something in Cuba. The president's indicated he might federalize elections. We've got, there's still Venezuela. You got Congress with multiple different directions. I mean, we still haven't resolved DHS yet and the funding. And I mean,
maybe just question marks.
So pick your most important news story of the day, and you would have to come up with about 8 to 10 and go. And I think that's every day, and I think people are fatigued by trying to keep up with it. I mean, it's been a lot,
Yeah, it has. I think I just tend to wonder how it all shakes out in November as well, and it'll be interesting to see.
It will be interesting to see. How's that? So. Yes.
Maybe that's how we're all feeling. It's going to be interesting. Whatever happens, it's going to be interesting.
I just know I'm going to be tired when it's all said and done. So.
Well, Roby is tired from that. He's tired from.
I'm tired now.
Newspapers and 4 TV shows and
a streaming video cast. What is this called?
I think it's a streaming show.
A streaming show.
But it's like podcast format, I think.
Is it a video cast? It's got video. Podcast I don't think of as having video.
This is
I want to know what the technical term for this is. I want there to be
a streaming show.
A streaming show. Well, I think a streaming show. I think I'm watching something on Netflix. You know.
Well, I think this app is considered a streaming app because it's on demand, so you can like go and click on it. And
so, are we a streaming app or are we a streaming show?
no, we are a streaming show, but we stream on a streaming app.
I'm gonna need a dictionary. I need a primer of some sort. Can we put a sheet together that explains?
We'll get Kate, our fabulous digital director, who knows way more about this than all of us combined.
I mean, like, this is a microphone, but I mean, it got some special name too? Because every podcast or video cast or streaming show, whatever you want to call them, they all have microphones. I mean, it's like this has to have. Why couldn't we put a lavalier on like we do on TV? A lav.
The words have changed.
But we would have the same. But we would have the same conversation with the same audio with a lav on. But we have to have these as a prop because it's a streaming show.
Yes, because we're like, this is more podcasty.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But it's really not, though. It's my point. I mean, it's
like
just
a lavalier.
Yeah.
We would have to be like walking and moving because this keeps us here. This keeps us grounded.
No, we could. I sit on a set every week. I sit on a set every week and just have a lav on and talk to guests. So.
But this keeps us here.
Well, it keeps me there with a lav on.
Okay, I mean, fair.
You see where I'm going with all this?
I do, but I don't.
I don't know. I think this is different.